Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the show. Today we have a special guest and may have him on a couple more times after this. We have Dr. Ben. He's been on the show before. We had a great interview talking about reversing autoimmune disease probably about 2 months ago. So, Dr. Ben, it's good to have you back on. What's going on, man?
Hey, yeah, it's I invited myself back on and you said yes, so thank you.
No, I actually really appreciate that. It's been awesome seeing you blow up on social media here and get everything going with your book too. So how's all that stuff been actually?
Yeah, it's been really good. The book keeps selling and just keeps picking up more and more. So, starting to get more and more good feedback about it and testimonials and yeah, it's been cool.
That's awesome. Now, is it selling on Amazon, your own site?
Yeah,
So like
both.
both? Okay.
You got to be on Amazon just to play the game,
Yeah,
Um,
right.
um, you got to do all the gymnastics to hit the bestseller list when you come out. So I did that, and then it's like
Right.
available there. But I'd rather sell it on my website because then I get all the money versus Amazon gets
Right.
some ridiculous cut of like the money. Yeah,
Yeah, I can only imagine what like I can only imagine what they charge, and what they bring in. It's ridiculous. Greedy people, right? But I guess it's also kind of like, oh well, if you want to use their platform, you got to pay a premium, kind of. So
yeah. It's I didn't want to do it, but my publisher was like, "Look, you gotta play the game." So
yeah,
yeah,
damn, is what it is, I guess.
yeah.
How's the food been down there? How's the all the fruit and whatnot in Arizona, right?
Dude, it's been good. Figs just started, fig season just hit. So, like literally just in the past few days, was picking some trees and stuff. And
Dude, that's epic.
yeah. And then the dates will hit in September, but one of the women I get my dates from, she told me last year, she's like, well, guavas will hit in August. So I texted
Oh,
like a few days ago. I was like, it's August. Where are the guavas? She's like, it's like mid-August. Like text me.
okay. Dude, I can't recall if I've ever had a guava before. Is it like sweet? It sounds like it's sweet and soury.
Well, here's the thing about guavas is that there's like it's a variant, it's a continuum, and there's like ones that taste amazing and are super sweet and super just like have a lot of taste to them, and then there's
Yeah,
ones that are like, whoa, what is this?
right.
And I remember when I first moved to Southern California, I was like, I didn't realize how much fruit I was gonna be picking out there until I got there. And I remember it was like September, and I found this guava tree in my neighborhood. And I was walking my dogs, and there was like one guava on it that was like ready to go, and I picked it, and I left it on my kitchen counter because it still needed to ripen a little bit.
Hmm.
And I woke up the next morning, and like the whole apartment smelled like guava.
Oh my gosh. Was it like a good smell at least or?
Yeah, no, it was a great
Oh,
smell,
nice.
sweet, and
Nice.
yeah, yeah.
Talk about natural scent, right? That's pretty good. Um dude, I actually wanted to ask you, how was the DTM retreat? Because AJ was supposed to go to that and it just obviously didn't work out for him, but like it looked like he had a blast out there.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much what you'd expect for a DTM retreat. Like he
Yeah.
just talk to talk to talk. And then like he insisted on making all the food himself for
Uh-huh.
like 15 people.
Oh my
So it
gosh.
literally like the first day was just like him taking 3 hours to make like a fucking bucket of juice, like just like a massive amount, right? And
Oh my God.
probably juiced like $400 worth of produce, and then and just like just did his thing, just jibber jabber the whole time,
Dude,
all
he
the
can
night.
talk.
Yeah, it was great. And then he made this salad that was like, ooh, it was intense. Like
Really? What was in it?
it was like the coconut yogurt, like
Oh, dude, it
really
sounds
like
so good.
fatty, really heavily seasoned dressing that
Mm-hmm.
like it was really good at first, and then I ate like I don't know, I thought it would be like one of those things that it was so seasoned I would like eat too much of it, but I ended up getting to the point where I was just like I can't eat any more of this.
Right.
So, but I mean, it was good. It was good, you know. But it was like again like freaking gajillion ingredients. And then yeah, it was, you know, met a lot of cool people. And then the next day we pretty much had like a nature day where we we um we went to Sedona, which was like an hour from where he was. We all like
Mm.
pulled up there and
Mm-hmm.
went hiking, and then like hit up a juice place, and then hit up this place called the Chocolate Tree, which is like a raw vegan restaurant up there, and just
Oh,
kind
that's
of
awesome.
yeah, hung out, and yeah, it was super fun. And then
That's
I
so
hit him
cool.
up to hang out, and he's like, "Dude, I'm on the road. I'm traveling."
Oh,
So
no way. Where's he going now?
I
Or is
don't
he,
know.
or
I don't know.
so he's just like doing whatever. So I guess his home base is still in Arizona, but he's just kind of
Yeah,
doing
he really
whatever.
wants to go back to Hawaii, and he said it's going to happen, but probably not till like the end of the year.
Yeah. Damn. It's crazy. Dude, is it hot as balls there or what?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually like most summers, especially like July, August, it's just absolutely brutal. It's like 115, 118 during the day. Like,
What?
yeah.
That's
Um,
insane.
but luckily this summer, like, yeah, you can't go outside. Like the window to go outside is from about 4 a.m. to about 8 a.m. and that's it. Um, maybe 9 a.m. But this summer we've been getting a lot of rain, and so it'll stay cooler in the morning. And there's been some days where I can actually like, you know, like go outside in the afternoon and stuff, which has been really nice.
Right.
It rained yesterday, and it's a little bit cloudy and overcast today, so that might keep the heat down. But yeah, it's been hot. But the good
Dude,
news is
that's
like
nuts.
that like the mountains are about an hour and a half drive, and you can go up to elevation, and it's a totally different climate. And like I'm going camping again this weekend up there. So
Hell yeah. That's exciting.
yeah,
Wow. Cool. Hey, you ready to dive into this today?
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring this I actually brought this topic up to Dr. Ben because I see a lot of what he posts, and he posts a lot about the medical industry and whatnot. So I thought it would be really cool if him and I could do an episode on pretty much the pros and cons of what we see in the medical industry. Now, uh, we can just start off with the pros first, right? We can do that. We can do the good first.
Sure.
Um, so I just so from what I heard actually myself is that and just what I've seen is that the medical industry is the best for like acute issues, you know, like car accident, somebody gets a car accident, like boom, um take him to the hospital. You know, someone gets shot, you break your leg, you have any industry or industry, you have any injury, you can just pretty much go. There's uh different kind of places around the area here, and you can get it treated for the most part, you know. Um, and I think that's like really where they stand apart from everyone else. And if I'm not even mistaken, I'm not sure how it is in Arizona, but I think in Pennsylvania at least they say that you have to have medical insurance. I'm not too sure about that. I'm not sure if there's like a if there is some tax or a penalty if you don't have it. But I mean, I just have it for the most part. So, but yeah, I think that's a good place to start on some of the pros that I see at least. So, what do you have going on?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think for yeah, any kind of like acute care, anything that like is like necessitates surgery,
Yeah,
like you know, reattaching limbs, like setting broken bones,
right.
you know, giant cuts that are gonna bleed out.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, it's great for that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they're really good at saving lives. I mean,
100%.
yeah. So like yeah, it's in this like if all you know any of that stuff happens to me, like yeah, I'm going and getting medical care. I'm not just gonna like, you know, rub mangoes on my severed
Yeah.
arm until it reattaches.
Right. I'm sure AJ would really like that. That
Dude, I've been getting such hella good mangoes
oh,
lately.
I bet.
Oh man, like these things are monsters right here.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I could I love mangoes. AJ, the AJ, if you
Anyway,
somehow
sorry.
hear this, if you hear this, I just don't understand how you don't like mangoes, man. I just don't understand. Makes no sense to me.
I wasn't gonna go there on that, but yeah,
Uh-huh.
mangoes. Okay, so yeah, other ways. Yeah, so the acute care thing, is super good, and also for acute sickness, right?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, like, if you got pneumonia, if you got you know, just like an acute infection,
Hmm.
uh, and you're in danger of getting like sepsis and dying, like
Right.
that's super. They can help with that.
Right. Right. Now, what are your thoughts on like people who are like physical therapists? Or like, would you consider them a part of the medical industry, or um, what about like doctors who are in sports? I'm not sure if that's more like chiropractic too, I guess, which is obviously your field. Like, would
Yeah.
you consider that part of the medical industry? I guess, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, it's not really black and white. I
Yeah.
would say there's a spectrum, but there's these concepts of like physical medicine and sports medicine.
Yeah.
So there's like you know, there's physiatry, which is a lesser known medical specialty, which is like it's kind of like orthopedics, physical therapy that like you're a medical doctor that you do.
Hmm.
So that's the sports medicine, that's the physical medicine stuff. So like, I mean, I guess I would the delineating thing is going to be if something's part of the medical system is whether or not they accept insurance.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
because the insurance is basically going to dictate, hey, you have to do this, this, and this. Like if your diagnostic codes are this,
Right.
if they diagnose them with this and they're designated by little codes and numbers like low back pain, ankle pain, whatever,
Yeah.
then the therapies you get to do are this, this, and this, and those are designated by another set of billing codes.
Right.
And it's like if you want to get paid, you have to do these things with the patient.
Yeah.
And do other things, the insurance won't pay you. So
Right.
like, you got to make money. You can't like
Yeah.
be doing stuff and not get paid for it.
Yeah. No
But
doubt.
if you're taking insurance, you like have to do the things that the insurance company essentially dictates the care that you give,
Right.
right? And for some people, that stuff will work, and other people it won't. But they have to do it to everybody because that's how they make money.
Yeah. Right.
And so like if you're doing that, you're part of the medical system versus someone like me who doesn't take insurance, doesn't want, because I don't want to like have to
Deal with
play
that.
by their rules and get reimbursed $20 for doing something that doesn't even add any value. I'd rather
Right.
like take cash with the people who want to pay to actually get better.
Hmm.
And I can come up with my own care protocol. And so I'm not really in the system per se. And then
Right.
where the problem falls apart is like some people will get better if the doctor does what the insurance pays for, but a lot of people won't.
Hmm.
So that like that's kind of the fallback of the system is that the medical system is that it dictates certain standards of care that don't work for everybody.
Yeah.
But like literally your provider won't get reimbursed, won't make any money if they don't do what the insurance company says to do, even if it's really in your best interest.
It's all about control, right? Whatever
Yeah,
they
I
can
mean,
do to like play with you a little and
it's the system that we have, unfortunately.
yeah.
And so it's like someone like me wants to do what works and
Yeah.
not like what I'm told. And
Right.
like do this or you won't get paid. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's good to see that you're doing that though, and you're taking the power into your own hands. What will be your thoughts on this? Because I'm on Twitter a lot, and Twitter's a different beast than Instagram. Like Twitter's like all evidence based people. Like if you don't have like a source for it, like I don't believe anything you say kind of thing.
yeah,
And they're all about I wouldn't say all of them, but a lot of people I see on there, they're like they're definitely for medicine, and they're for um like the medical industry. And I think one of the big arguments would be that, like, look at how we've progressed over the time here. Like, even from back in the 1900s, like, just sanitation in general too. Everything's cleaned up. We're living longer. You could say that we're healthier for the, maybe, I don't really know if you would say that or not. But there's just so much that we can use because of how we evolved, and medicine is a big part of that, they would say. And I mean, I know people now who, they're honestly just living because of their medications for the most part. Like, no doubt about it, which is cool, which is great. I mean, if that's how you want to live. So would you definitely agree that the medical industry and medicine in general has taken us to where we are now, and has played a big role in our evolution over past couple, I guess you could say, 100 years here?
That's a good question. And I think a part of it depends on how you delineate or define what is the medical system.
Yeah.
Because, back before the 1920s, 30s, like, it was the Wild West.
Yeah,
And
right.
like the AMA and the pharmaceutical, industry. There was a whole plethora of different types of practitioners.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, modern pharmaceutical medicine likes to rewrite the history books and say, hey, we were the good guys. We came up with sanitation. We
Right.
came up with all these. And it's like, sanitation was not just like medical doctors going, hey, we should wash our hands. Like, like that was originally frowned upon. Like,
Yeah.
there was a doctor who, it might have not even been a doctor, but it was in a hospital. They were delivering babies, and they're like, wow, the baby's like chance of living, and the mom's chance of living is much better if we wash our hands before we touch them and deliver them. Like, and everyone's like, that's heresy. Why would you say that? We're not killing babies just because we don't wash our hands.
Right.
And so there was this like resistance to knowledge, right? But then, the good ideas went out eventually, and people started doing it. It wasn't medical doctors, installing sewers and
No, not at all.
running water and all these things, right?
Yeah.
And so we can credit a lot of the increase in longevity is that just people didn't die at childbirth and at young ages, because
I see.
yeah, they weren't catching the bubonic plague because they actually washed their hands.
Right.
So a lot of that credit goes to sanitation, but I wouldn't give that credit to medical doctors.
Yeah, right.
It's just the overall, like, let's thank the plumbers and the engineers and like,
right.
The city governments for installing running water.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that that even like how we were talking about earlier, like the acute injuries that you have, I mean, that's definitely played a role too in longevity as well, because you get hurt or you have an injury. I mean, you can be saved. Back in 1872, you're probably not being saved, So I think that definitely is something else that can contribute to the longevity and people living longer for the most part. Like, would you agree with that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and maybe you could, like, back in 1870, if you like broke an arm or like got a really bad infection, they just had to like amputate the arm so that, and like, so the rest of you didn't get infected and die.
Right.
But now it's like we have antibiotics, and we have other ways to like save the body part.
Right.
And
Yeah.
So that was definitely a positive progression.
No doubt. So yeah, I definitely think that, like, as an overall pro, I do think that the medical industry, or just the medical industry or sanitation or wherever it may has been, but definitely that the medical industry has helped us with longevity and living longer. Now, for medication purposes and stuff like that, like, do you want to start diving into this stuff? Because this is like, your book's pretty much a lot about that. Like, you want to use diet and lifestyle to reverse your disease and not have to take medication and deal with their side effects.
Yeah,
So
and can I just interject here?
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
The problems that we're facing now are not the problems we faced 100 years ago.
Yeah, totally.
100 years ago, there was no autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
There was no cancer epidemic. There was no heart disease was the leading cause of death.
Yeah.
Like people died of things like diarrhea. You know,
Yeah.
literally that was the leading cause of death in the late
Yeah.
1800s.
Yeah.
So the spectrum of problems that we have to combat or deal with is completely different.
Hmm. Yeah, you know what? That's actually a good point because it seems like we're just creating our own issues. It's like we're creating disease in ourselves with how we're living. You know, we're snorting drugs and uh doing dope and all this kind of we're drinking alcohol every day and getting intoxicated as like
There's a lot more environmental toxins. We're
yeah,
exposed to all this like electromagnetic radiation. There's
yeah,
all things at play that we just didn't have
right,
100 years ago.
right,
Contributing to a chronic disease epidemic for sure.
right.
And so like maybe medicine was like a really good solution back then for a lot of
Hmm.
problems. You get a bacterial infection, you're going to die. Like antibiotics, really good.
Yeah,
Now
right.
it's like, they got these antibiotics like Cipro, which just completely freaking wipe out your like immune system
Oh
and have
shit.
fluoride in them and stuff. It's like it's a different game, you
Yeah.
know. So like it's hard to compare apples and oranges like 100 years ago versus
Yeah,
now.
it's a good point.
Really different landscape.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Um, so what would you have to say to somebody who, and I guess you can say like this is kind of we're getting into like the cons a little bit, to a disagreeable person who is maybe a bit overweight and they just like live by their medication, you know, like they got to get their medication. They pretty much they just don't know any other option. Like no one's told them otherwise. Like they've only known that because they only go to their doctor and this is what their doctor says. But um their doctor probably isn't wrong, and they're just treating what they're just doing with their job. Pretty much right. They're just simple as that. They're just doing their job and they may not know otherwise. So um like what would you have to say to a person like that? Like if they came up to you in the street and they actually for whatever reason they had this spiritual awakening, they like, hey, I want help, you know, to to like to talk about this stuff. Um like what would you have to say to someone like that?
So wait, they've been doing this, but then all of a sudden they're like changing their mind, or
Yeah, so like they actually no, I feel like I contradict myself there because that wouldn't make sense. Like um they are disagreeable and they're kind of stuck up in their own beliefs about medicine. And they think that like it's what it is saving them probably and it's helping them a lot, but there's other answers out there and they just don't know it. Like how would you approach someone like that to maybe try to say like, hey man, or hey woman, like you can, there's other options out there. Like you don't have to think that you can live on this medications and endure whatever else you're enduring from that. Does that make sense?
sure, absolutely. And one thing I want to point out is like, this is an area where medicine has like it's like they do something well
Yeah.
in that
Right.
they can save your life and they can keep you alive. And they're what they're really good at, and maybe this is a bit like snarky to say, but they're good at like keeping you alive at like a minimal state of health.
Mhm. Yeah. 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 I agree.
It's better than dead,
Yeah.
right? But it's like you're at this middle, you're fat, you're obese, you have no energy, you just are like, disagreeable all the time and like,
Yeah. Right.
but you're alive, right?
Right.
Meanwhile, you're a cash cow for them because it's just like you get put on more and more medications
Yeah.
um and so the system, you become a profit center for the system.
Hmm.
And so, I don't really have much to say to them. Like I'm not here to like, convince anybody or get into arguments and try to win.
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
find that that's a very constructive use of my time. There are plenty of people who realize that they don't like what they're doing and want to change and need help doing that. And I'm
Hmm.
here to help those people.
Nice.
And I have these people in my family who are like on 12 different pharmaceutical medications and say, well, I would just rather take a pill. Okay.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it
That's
doesn't
crazy.
like, hey, I used to be in this mindset. I used to think that like medical doctors knew everything and like you know, I went to Penn where it was like indoctrinated that like the pharmaceutical companies were the gods and the medical doctors were the gods. And I just
Yeah,
believed
right.
that until I hit the day when they couldn't help me. And I was like, oh, maybe I should reconsider this, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, like as far as that question, I think there's this like, I'm not going to go out of my way to convince people. I have a lot of people that message me on Instagram and say like, my mom needs to read your book. My dad needs to read your book. My daughter needs to
Yeah.
work with you. Will you help her?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, what do they? Well, they don't want to do it. Can you
Uh,
convince them? Can we get them on the phone with you and you'll just tell them to eat healthier?
yeah. And
And
you're
I
like,
used to
it
be like,
doesn't work like
oh,
that.
okay, I'll do it. Like I would
Yeah.
be like, I want to help. And then it's like people would never show up for the calls. When they did, they were all like, well, can I still smoke 3 cigarettes a day? Can I still my McDonald's McFish, you know? And it's just like I'm negotiating with this person on this. Like,
Right.
so I realized
Wow.
it's a dead end, and I just I
Oh,
just had to
so you've
turn the
like actually
table.
been there. You've actually been in those situations and dealt with people like that.
Yeah, I thought I was like being of service and like doing a good thing, and I just
Yeah.
happened enough. Like I had a friend who in New Jersey was like, "Oh, my friend has migraines, and I think she should go vegan." And like, can you tell her that like it'll help? She'll like listen to the advice from a doctor. And I'm like, no. And she's like, well, don't you want to take a stand for the animals? Wouldn't you just want to spend 10 minutes just for the animals' sake?
Yeah.
Just tell her. And even if she says no, at least you did the right thing.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my God, this is sounding like a serious waste of my time. Not that like I'm I'm an ethical vegan, not but like I I've had to be like cognizant and defensive of like where I invest my energy because
Right.
like
Yeah,
just
that's great.
yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I mean you said that really well. Um and it definitely opened my eyes a bit too, actually. And even still, even on the internet here, like sometimes it's just not even worth, you know, the energy or getting into an argument with somebody about just the dumbest stuff, and it's just sometimes ridiculous.
Too many people
Um,
that help, too many people that are receptive that need help to
right,
bother people that want to
right,
fight. Yeah.
right. But it is nice when you do have somebody who actually is open to hearing what you have to say and wants to learn, wants to get better, wants to feel good, wants to empower themselves. Like that, like that's like the really good stuff. Because even still, occasionally I'll get a person or two like that, and I'm like, oh, this is like cool. Even like when I post food, and like I don't like when I post a recipe, and someone's like, hey, what's the recipe? Like even something like that, I'm like, oh, cool. Like they actually want to know like what I'm doing. Like it's awesome. Um, so yeah. So what else here? What else? What other cons have you noticed in the medical industry that you think can maybe be fixed or ameliorated to help society? I mean, it could be a long if you
Hold my kombucha. Um, um,
we can
I
just
think
take
I
it
think
one.
yeah. I mean, first off, I don't. This may sound extremely skeptical and negative, but I don't think they can be fixed.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna like fix the system.
Yeah.
Like you have guys like Michael Clapper, and I admire the hell out of him. And I interned
Yeah.
under, and I
Well,
think I told that story on the
yeah,
last
yeah, yeah.
podcast.
He taught you, right?
Yeah, I studied under him at True North, and so
Yeah.
he on this mission to go teach like nutrition at all the medical schools to get him to
Uh,
see the, you
oh,
know.
no way. That's kind of cool, though.
And yeah, I mean, no, it's admirable, and I'm sure he'll affect some people,
Yeah.
but it's like they're going to get 0.5% of their education is going to be that,
Right.
and 99.5 of their education is to be drug surgery, drug surgery, drug
Right.
surgery. Do it.
Right.
So it's like I really don't think we're going to change the system from within.
Yeah.
Like honestly, what do you work in insurance? Is that am I
No,
mistaken?
I do payroll.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I think that the existing system is just going to collapse.
Yeah. No.
It's just going to get more and more expensive,
Yeah.
less and less results, and
Yes.
people are eventually going to go, yeah, like this is not working for me. Like as crazy as it sounds, I'd rather go like eat a bunch of mangoes,
Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
uh, And so I think it's and now we're seeing that with like all that's happened in the past 2 years, where it's like, oh, you got to wear the rag on your face, you got to stay home, you can't do this, you can't do that, you got to get a piece of paper that says you've been shot up with drugs, or you can't go to work,
Yeah.
you got to get you got like 2 shots and this is over. Oh, 3 shots and this is over. Oh, forget a fourth one. Maybe we'll need a fifth one. And then it's like, oh no, now there's this new disease, new disease, new
Right
emergency.
now.
Be afraid about this one, focus on this one, and wear a mask, and it's just like,
Yeah.
it's fatiguing people, and they're
Yeah.
like realizing like this is a shit show.
Yeah. I mean, even the people who are like for it and like pro that, they're even kind of, I feel like they're even kind of like, okay, this is like a bit too far. Like, what's going on here? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, what's happening?
Yeah. And it's all driven by money, right? It's all driven by like,
and that's, I think that right there is the biggest part of it all. I mean, you see it everywhere. I think there's this guy, let me see it real quick on Instagram. I think his name's Sean, Model, maybe? Yeah, Sean Model is Sean Stevenson. His IG account's Sean Model. He's I guess he says, or is author of the best-selling books Eat Smarter and Sleep Smarter. He's a research scientist, host of the Model Health Show, and ranked #1 health podcast in the US. And he has like a lot of big time people on his podcast. It looks like Zach Bush is on there. I guess he has Mark Hyman, who I'm like kind of iffy on Mark Hyman. But I mean, like, that's like everyone, we all have our disagreements with him. But even he was posting about the medical industry and just how money driven they are, and showing research of like how much they made. I can't technically find it. I'd have to look through his page right there, but yeah, I mean, how can you not say that that's like the #1 con, is that it's pretty much all money driven? I mean, even in anything, it's like, why do you work? I mean, to make money. Like, I was in a training the other day with somebody, and she just came on, and she was saying, like, she was talking, and then she's like, I'm here to work. I'm here to get a paycheck, just like you all are. And like, let's do it. Let's do it together as a team, kind of thing. And that's what it is. That's just how life works. I saw a video of a guy who got traded in the MLB. He was playing for the Red Sox, Boston Red Sox. He was playing against the Houston Astros that day. He got traded to the Houston Astros the same day that he was playing against them. And it's like, and he said on the interview, like, it's just business. And that's all it is. They'll cut you like that. They'll trade you like that, and it's just some guy, Juan Soto, he could have signed a $440 million deal, 15 years with the Nationals, didn't sign it. It's like, holy shit. Like, do you want more money? It's just,
that's baseball though. I mean,
yeah, like, right. But I'm just,
no one's getting harmed.
Right. I'm just saying, I'm just kind of referring to like a lot of this stuff's money driven. So yeah, back to the medical industry though, where
it's money driven to the detriment of health outcomes.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's like, we got leading cause of death is heart disease. And, we could put everybody on a plant-based diet and you eliminate 99.8% of it.
Yeah.
But then along that, you annihilate the statin industry, the blood pressure medication industry, the stent industry, the heart surgery industry. It's like gajillions of dollars on the table that people are like holding on to for dear life,
Right.
So when someone like Esselstyn comes along, they just want to, no one's going to do that vegetarian thing.
Yeah, right.
Pills and surgery. It's cute, but we're not going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. What would be your thoughts on and we can come back to this money stuff, because you mentioned statin actually, and that actually just like clicked something on my mind, because even matter of fact, Simon Hill had someone on his podcast. Simon Hill, right? The Proof in the Plants, Plant Proof dude, who was talking about they were talking about like heart disease, because you have like the carnivores who are like, saturated fat, like, it's good for you, and LDL, like high LDL isn't bad for you, and the plant-based people are like high LDL is causing heart disease kind of thing. And the one guy he had on was on. I mean, it's like a 2 hour show. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but just talking about how high LDL like is a big factor in heart disease. And but he was also talking about statins and using like LDL lowering drugs. And I wanted to hear your thoughts on that. Like, do you think that like I think for some people that could be a benefit. But then at the same time, like I don't know if there's side effects to statins, if there's other detriments to statins. And these people, they would claim like, hey, you can use diet. Definitely, that's definitely a part of it. But you could also take a statin, and it's going to have pretty much the same effect as diet, and it's going to lower your LDL. So I'm not sure, like, if you know a little bit about that, or if you have any thoughts on that.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, we can dive into this. I mean, yeah, statins definitely do have side effects.
Yeah,
Drug industry wants to downplay that,
yeah.
um, but they cause liver damage, they cause brain damage. They, it's like, do you think there's like a reason why there's like this rise in dementia?
Hmm.
Um, we can get into that. But yeah, there's definitely side effects. And here's the thing: it's like, what does a statin drug do? Well, it interferes with an enzyme in your body called HMG CoA reductase. Sounds real fancy and science, but basically, it's an enzyme that allows for the endogenous production of cholesterol.
Okay.
Like your body produces its own cholesterol the
Correct.
same way a cow produces its own cholesterol,
Yeah.
right? And then you eat the cow and you get their cholesterol plus your cholesterol. You're a little heavy on the cholesterol, right?
Right.
The strategy is keep eating the cow and get that exogenous cholesterol because we can't change what you do. It's your choice in your life, but
Yeah.
we'll inhibit your body's own ability to produce cholesterol, and that'll somehow lighten the load. Forget the fact that you're shoving in your face hole 5 times a day with cheeseburgers. So it just makes a lot more sense to like tone it down on the exogenous cholesterol
Hmm.
and not take a drug that interferes with your body's own processes and has like heretofore known side effects.
Right.
It's just like logically it makes a lot more. But yeah, you could be like, I'm gonna eat the stuff that like in excess causes heart disease, and then my body produces a small amount. And I'm gonna take a drug that like reduces my ability to produce that, and somehow
Right.
like think I'm gonna be okay. Yeah, I mean you'll get some outcome of it.
Hmm.
You've got gajillions of Americans on statins, and they're all still heart disease is still the leading cause of death. So I wouldn't really say the statins are getting the job done. Just
Right.
my personal opinion.
Yeah. Right. Right. It's definitely better. Well, not maybe not better, but it's definitely good to also look at lifestyle and what you're putting into your body and what's actually causing the high cholesterol and these issues that you're seeing. And that actually brings me to another question that I wanted to ask you that sparked an interest. Was stuff like uh aspirin and Motrin. Um, like I don't really get headaches at all anymore. I mean, since I've been plant-based for over 4.5 years here, like I mean, I maybe have had like one or two by chance, if I can recall. Um, but I just remember being younger, like you get a headache, you just pop a Motrin and it goes away like crazy. And I'm not sure if that like I think from what I heard is that is it a blood thinner? I think Motrin and aspirin, or I'm not sure. Obviously they're not the same, but they're similar. And it allows oxygen to get to your brain, and then I guess the headache goes away. I'm not sure if that's how it works or if you know how it works. Um, but yeah, I used to. I mean, just pop. What I mean, sometimes every day if I had one, or twice a
Yeah.
week, whatever, whatever. And definitely got away from it. But what would be your thoughts on something like that? Aspirin and Motrin is kind of like you could say it heals an issue, but like the issue keeps recurring. So like you're not healing the issue, right? Like if you keep getting headaches all the time and you take a Motrin and it goes away, but then you get another headache, that's obviously not, that's just depressing if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah. So a pain medication is what you call an analgesic. Okay. Meaning that, okay, well, back it up. There's analgesics, which like relieve pain, and there's anesthetics,
uh-huh.
which um, relieve pain, but also like you can't feel like they interfere with like your ability to feel and all this stuff, right?
Hmm.
And so it's like they block the nervous system signal of pain.
Hmm.
And an anesthetic does it even more so, where it's like you're numbed out because it blocks that part of the nerve as well. And it can block your
Mm.
motor part of the nerve, because you basically have like the pain sensation, the regular sensation, and the motor.
Hmm.
And so an analgesic will just block the pain sensation. So what it literally does is it shuts off the signal, right? It's like, oh, the check engine lights on in the car. Let's just put a piece of tape over it, and then
Hmm.
won't bother us, right? But like the
Yeah.
problem's still there. You're just shutting off the signal. So of course it's gonna, when the medicine wears off, it's gonna keep recurring because the brain's like, something's wrong. Pain is like you're experiencing pain because we want to alert you that something's wrong, and you go, shut up, follow a pill. Uh,
Right.
so it doesn't fix the root cause of the problem. It just covers up the signal that
Yeah.
something's wrong. And this is how a lot of medications work. It's like, there's a deeper root cause going on, and it's good at like turning the symptom off.
Hmm. Yeah.
But it doesn't address the root cause. And so it's like you need more and more medication because the body starts screaming louder and louder and louder, and you're just like, shut up, I don't want to deal.
Right. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Um, yeah, I think because you mentioned migraines earlier, and I think just from some of the videos that I've watched of DTM, and this is like a couple years ago. I haven't watched DTM too much recently. This is back like when I was like really hardcore newbie, kind of like how you were, like when you first started
Yeah.
watching DTM videos. I was the same, and he would mention like migraines, and I think was it I think like that's just kind of comes back to like being constipated, and the bowels are so backed up, and there's like just so much tension down there, and it's like causing tension in your head too. And that's like pretty much the points that he was making from that. So I don't know. I like that. I think with something like that, it's like, how do we really know exactly what the issue is? And I think that's another. This is actually, I'm actually really happy I said that, because this is also something else. So like, you can go to the doctor for something, and they could say, oh well, it's A and B, but like, my whole thoughts on health are that there's so many factors that go into your health. Sleep, water, exercise, sunlight, um relationships with your friends and family, stress, uh, your sex life, you could even say, your job, um, a plethora of stuff. So it's like you go to the doctor, and once again they say, "Oh, well, it could be A and B," but like, how do you actually know that? And I think that sometimes they may diagnose symptoms, and there could be plenty of other reasons for why something else is happening. And I'm not saying that like I'm not saying that they're wrong whatsoever. Like, no, I just think that there's just so many factors that could play a role into why you're having a symptom, or why you're having a certain disease, that you just have to ask so many questions. And I don't know exactly if everything specifically to like the baseline of it is getting answered. You see what I'm saying? So like, would you also agree with something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think doctors make mistakes, like
Yeah.
especially with diagnoses, especially when, in the medical system, they're getting a 3-minute patient visit, and they just kind of
Yeah.
go, oh, okay, this sounds like this, right? And they have it, maybe they need to order more tests or do more labs or take images or whatever, that they're just like,
Hmm.
yeah, probably this, but we could confirm it if we did this test, right? But
Yeah.
the person goes home and is like, oh, I got blah, blah, blah. And maybe they do it, maybe they don't. But
Yeah.
I see people with misdiagnoses like all the time.
Hmm.
And sometimes I'm like, on the phone with the radio, like, did you not see this on the, like, really? I'm like, been in practice for, this many years. And like, I, like, and you're a radiologist who's been practicing for 20 years, and I caught something you didn't see, but that guy looks at
Oh
200
my gosh.
a day, So
Yeah.
like, it happens, right?
Yeah.
People get misdiagnosed, and And yeah, like the human body is a complex thing, and sometimes it like you need to get 3, 4, 5 opinions on something if
Right.
it's
And
an
I agree.
obscure thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Um, and even if the opinion may like, I think it's tough to get like an opinion from a specialist or a doctor because then you're going all over the place. Even like an AJ story, he goes to here and they say, oh, well, you got to get an endocrinologist. He goes there and says, oh, well, you got to go to this person. Then you go to this. It's just like,
Yeah, I did that. Yeah.
it's, yeah. So I think like, I think that's something where it's good to take it into your own hands. And I mean, I hate to even say it, but like, I don't know, do a Google search or go on, like search some journals and search some studies and see if you can find some evidence of like X being fixed by Y or whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
I think like take care of the fundamental pillars of health of like sleep,
yeah,
diet, exercise, meditate, like get that somewhat dialed in before
yeah,
you go and like go down a path of a bunch of medication. I mean, I would say it should be the first line of for some people are just like, I just want a pill. I just want them to cut it out.
yeah,
Wrong.
right.
Fine. But like try to get those fundamentals dialed in and see if it shifts to the positive. I
Right.
remember when I was in chiropractic school, I had a friend who like we studied for all our exams together, and she had like a series of in her earlier life. She was a competitive athlete in college and high school, and
Hmm.
gymnast and diver and all this. And she had like, like just a crap ton of traumatic like brain injuries, like hit her head a
Oh,
gajillion times, right? And so chiropractic care had really helped her, but she still had all these migraines. And I tried to have the conversation with her, like, maybe you should try to eat more the way I eat, and like you wouldn't have this problem because she would like literally have to miss study sessions because she'd have these like debilitating migraines. She had to like lie in a dark room for 24 hours and miss
what?
school. And
Holy
and
shit, dude.
she's like, Ben, sometimes I just want to have a burger and a beer, okay? And I'm just gonna, okay?
Well,
And
that's
it's like,
that's that's fine, but
yeah, you're lying in a dark room for 24 hours. You're going to see all these specialist neurologists,
yeah,
like, oh, I just tried the smoothie.
yeah, right. Did she ever or no? Just kept. Damn. Yeah, I mean, like, I get it. You want to have a burger and a beer. Okay, you can have that, but it's good to at least get your base nutrition down. Have your extra like not extremely, but like have your healthy foods that makes you feel good and actually gives you nutrition and vitamins and minerals and all that. And then okay, if you have a burger, I mean, obviously we don't want that to happen, but um
But I think like, try the other, like leave the burgers and the beers aside for 30 days, hit the
yeah,
smoothie every day. If things shift in a positive direction and you like it, keep going. If you're like,
yeah,
hey, I feel better, but I really want the burgers and the beers and the migraines, go back
right.
to it. At least you know,
Yeah, right. Yeah,
whatever.
that's a good point. Take 30 days and see how you feel. And then, yeah, I agree.
But this is the kind of thing we run into. So it's like,
Yeah,
like I said, I'm here for the people. I stopped trying to preach to the people who don't want to hear it a long time ago. So.
right. um, you said something else too in there, about like a 3-minute doctor visit. And I also think that's like another con, is that, I mean, just like all of us, I mean, we're on a tight schedule. We got stuff to do. We're working. We're going here, we're going there. We have stuff going on, and they have lives too. Like they got to be able to live their life, the doctors, and they got to go enjoy themselves. They can't just. It's just what I'm saying is like it is hard for them to just do like an hour session unless maybe you pay for it or if like you really need it, whatever. But I think what
Yeah.
we see though is that like they're shorter sessions. It's not like it's, hey, you're here for 2 hours and we're really giving you all the treatment that you need. It's like you're in there, you're boom, and then you're out 5, 10 minutes, 15
in,
minutes,
in
you
an
know?
insurance-based system, right?
Yeah.
If you can pay a doctor cash who's willing, like every new patient visit, I meet with somebody for an hour.
Yeah.
Okay, like I charge them a good amount of money for it.
Yeah.
I'll sit down with them for an hour because there's stuff we need to talk about.
Right.
But yeah, in the insurance-based system, it's like the insurance doesn't care whether you saw them for 3 minutes or an hour. They're paying you the same little pittance of money.
Yeah.
So you gotta like pack and stack them, just to stay in business.
Right. Yeah, it's tough. Um, it's almost like too, it's like you're relying on those 10, 15, however long minutes for your health too, and that's once again where it's like I think it's good to empower yourself. Why do you not want to empower yourself with knowledge and just with a little understanding of how to fix yourself by chance,
Because
instead
it's
of
easier, MP. It's easier, less work. And that's ultimately the problem, is that we're abdicating responsibility
yeah.
to another entity who unfortunately likes to play this pretend of like, oh, we're all about science and health and research and
Yeah.
helping you. And it's like, no. They're actually, they gotta make money.
Right. That's the thing, is like, do they care about you? And I think they do. Like, I think if you have a doctor, I think like they care about you.
The degree that they're able to, right?
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
system, confines of the system, yes.
Right. And then it's also like, at the same time, it's like, oh, well, if that doctor doesn't work, you can just go to someone else and then hope they care for you, and then
Yeah, I've been down that road of like 24 doctor hoping that, oh, the next guy will have the answer.
yeah. Oh man. Yeah, it's there's just so many questions that need to be asked. Matter of fact, dude, who's the one girl? And I think this is like a year and a half ago, but she passed. She was like, I think I'm not sure if someone shot her or how she died, but she was like, not like taking down the medical industry or pharmaceuticals, but she was doing something in that. And I'm not sure if I forget who it was, but
Brandy Vaughn.
yeah, I think that, yeah. Well, she had like a big account on Instagram. Do you remember? I'm not sure if you remember the account. I'm sure you do.
So yeah, actually, I've never told this story in a podcast, but
Yeah.
you want to hear the real truth.
You
So what?
would love to.
Okay. So Brandy Vaughn ran a business called or a nonprofit called Learn the Risk.
That's what it was. Yes. Yeah.
And she had been a former, and so how do I know all of this? Well, she and I used to date, okay, back in 2019. It's like, I mean, she died in 2020. Okay. But she ran a nonprofit called Learn the Risk. She had been a rep for a company called Merck. You heard of them, big pharmaceutical company. And back in the early 2000s, they had this drug called Vioxx. And basically, what happened was that I think it was a pain medication or something like that, but it was causing heart attacks.
Oh,
And
really?
the data showed it. Merck knew it, and they covered it up, and they actually went to lengths to try to like discredit and just harass anybody who was speaking out against it, so it wouldn't
Wow.
get exposed.
Mm-hmm.
Because they did the whole Fight Club, A times B times C equals X. If X is less than the cost of doing a recall, we don't do one kind of mentality. But then they got caught and they had to pay the fine, right? But it's like baked into their, like, it's just baked into their bottom line. Like they know they're gonna be their behavior, right? Like this is like literally the scientists, right?
Right.
So she had that bad taste of the medical industry and was on the internal emails where like, we know this thing's killing people, but like, let's keep it hush hush and let's
Oh,
silence
shit.
out. And so she
Yeah.
left. But she kind of knew all the dirty tricks. And so basically what happened was she like moved to Europe, and then like had a kid over there. And when they were like 5, they moved back to the United States and went to a doctor's appointment. And they're like, oh, this kid hasn't gotten any vaccines. Like, we got to catch him up. There's like a lot of shots that like he's got to get.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna have to do the research on that, but on all of these drugs before we just give it to him. So can
Yeah.
I wait till next time? And he was like, yeah, I'm a doctor. I've done the research. They're safe and effective. And she was
Yeah.
like, I used to be a pharma rep. I know where you get your research. And I'm gonna have to do it myself, because I
Yeah.
know that all your information comes from the drug companies, and basically you don't know anything.
Oh
And the guy
my gosh.
flipped out on her, and the overreaction was so much that she was like, "Wow, I really struck a nerve. I should look into these things." And then she ended up like reading all the science on how they don't do placebo-controlled studies. Some of these drugs are only tested for 4 or 5 days for side effects, and then that's it, and then they never
Oh
follow.
wow.
Like it was like a serious like shit show, excuse my language. And that's when she started the putting all this information out. And then Merck knew who she was, and she basically started getting retaliated against by them. And so and like she told me all this, and like showed me some of it, because they would like break into her house and like move things around just to show like, oh, we can do whatever. So did they murder her? I don't know, but like it's an awfully to die of a gallbladder condition in your 40s when you're like healthy and fit, and like she was vegetarian, almost vegan, like you played
Hmm.
volleyball every day. So the circumstances around her death are super sus.
Wow.
For sure. Yeah.
Wow. Dude, I'm sorry. I had no clue that you guys were like had a thing or whatnot. So like,
It was like she died like a year after we
yeah,
stopped seeing each other, but yeah.
yeah. That's still so sad, man. I'm sorry. That's tough. And it's real. That is sketchy and scary. It's like, uh, no, like, where's the truth? Um,
Yeah.
wow. Whew. I mean, I can, that's like, that's a perfect example of, someone who actually wants to empower themselves, and then look what happened. Like that's really sad. Um, so I did have a question, and we could start wrapping up soon. Um, and I thought of it while I was hearing this. So I don't want like someone to listen to this episode and then be like, oh, I can just stop taking my medications now, and all of a sudden like and start eating healthier, and like everything's gonna be better, because I just don't think that that's how it works, especially if you are taking medications and you can't just stop that like immediately. I do think you have to like slowly take it away. It's like if
Oh
you're
yeah,
an
I'm
alcoholic.
definitely not advocating anybody just stop taking medications.
Yeah,
And
right.
when I do work with people on healing, chronic disease, autoimmune condition, like they still have to work with a medical doctor to manage
Right.
like the paper of the drugs. I don't do that.
Right.
And
Okay, yeah.
and I definitely err on the side of doing it slowly, because I've
Right.
definitely had people who are like, "Oh, my doctor said I need to lower the dose down to this, but I'm going to lower it down to even lower," and I'm like, "Whoa, don't like," and
Yeah.
then getting in trouble with it, and like, so
Shit.
yeah, yeah, any getting off of any medications has to be done under the supervision of a medical doctor. I'm
Yeah,
definitely
right.
for that. Yeah. I mean, this is good because it wasn't explicit, right? It was
No,
kind of
yeah.
implicit in my mind. I'm thinking, oh, of course, why would you just stop taking
Yeah,
drugs?
right. For some reason though, I just like thought of it. I was like, oh,
It's an important
um,
thing to say, for sure.
yeah,
Absolutely.
no doubt, no doubt. And I think that that's really good actually. Um, that that you do that, and that you work with them and their doctor, which is pretty much how it definitely how it should be, I guess. Yeah, I just like couldn't imagine like if someone just like boom. I mean, it's like smoking cigarettes. If you don't just stop in a day, if you want to stop, like usually it takes
Well,
time, and the same thing with alcohol and all drugs, if anything.
I disagree. I think things like
Maybe you get
smoking.
hypnosis.
Yeah, yeah. I think for something like alcohol, I mean, Goldenhammer said it right. Like, there's no like you just drink it from a smaller cup, right? Like if you have a
Yeah,
problem,
that's a good point.
yeah,
Good
you really gotta stop cold turkey. But yeah, a pharmaceutical medication, there's gonna be
point.
consequences. I mean, there's gonna be consequences for some people for quitting alcohol. Like
Yeah.
they like literally go, and I have a friend who's been struggling with this actually for the past 6 months, like quitting and then relapsing and quitting and relapsing. And the part of the problem is that like her physical withdrawal symptoms are so bad that she like has to go to a hospital and be put on like certain drugs that stop the nausea and all the
Holy
puking,
shit.
because she'll just like puke her guts out and like
Yeah.
get the shakes where she can't even walk.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
and so it's like she needs medical supervision to get off alcohol. Um, but like the whole like tapering down does not work. It's like,
Yeah.
so I guess it's situational, but for pharmaceutical drugs, especially for like chronic diseases, like that's got to be done supervised under
Right.
a plan. Somebody knows what they're
Right.
doing. Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Cool. Awesome. Well, hey, we said a lot today. I feel like there's still so much that has to be said, and there's still so much more to talk about. Maybe that can be a little cliffhanger until our next discussion. But I think we had a great talk today about some of the pros and some of the cons that we see within the medical industry. And maybe even next time when we do a show together, we can even like pick something specific and really go into it even more. But yeah, I just want to say like some concluding thoughts here before we get going. Is that I definitely think there's benefits to the medical industry, 100%. You know, there's a lot of pros. There's stuff that we see that they do well, and I do think there are people out there, there are doctors out there who do want the best for you. On the flip side, you got to look the other way. You know, it's a big money business. There's a lot of doctors who out there who they may have a lot of clientele and they can only see you for so long, and they say they want your best interest, but do they? And they may be a little short-sighted because they don't have, or maybe even ignorant to where they don't have some of the nutrition knowledge that may actually be what you need. You know, maybe you just need better food quality or introducing more fruits and vegetables or whatever, you know. And I think that also plays a role. So I think there's good and bad to it all, just like anything else, you know, there's yin yang. But overall, I mean, I just think that like it's good to empower yourself with knowledge so that you can make and informed decisions to really make yourself feel the best. And if you do that and you still need a doctor, awesome. Like go for it. Do what you got to do. Do what's best for you. Empower yourself. So that's what I got to say today. Dr. Bennett, any final thoughts on today's episode?
Yeah, I agree with you there. Absolutely. 100%. I just thank you for having me on. Thanks
Yeah.
AJ for letting me be a sub for a while. Kind of fun to just like, you know, come up from the minor leagues to bat for a few games. Yeah. Whenever you get off the DL, like you're welcome back, but thanks for letting me here.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, AJ, I'm not sure when he's gonna be back. I will say, like, even I did an episode last week by myself. I talked for like 45 minutes, actually. I was impressed. You know, it was a good episode. It felt good. But I was even like, damn, like it would be nice to have someone else here. Like it's always fun, you know, bringing the energy of two people. So dude, it was a blast today. Like really great conversation. You had great energy the whole time, dude. A lot of fun.
Thanks. I had fun too, man. I'm looking forward to doing more when the time is right.
Awesome. All right, brother. Well, hey, all I gotta say is stay up, be great. Always keep it 100, baby.
Stay hungry.